I hope everyone is in this particular directory. In your home directory, export uh, DevOps and all docs DevOps folder. Can you do a PWD, Soumya? Okay. All of you, please confirm from your side you are in this directory for now. Do ls.
Yes.
Anybody who is not in this present working directory, who is not able to see this, please let us know. Please let me know. Okay. So you will see docker underscore cube folder, which is recently added. So you can go inside docker underscore cube. All of you can give thumbs up if you are in this directory. Okay, Zafi is okay. Tara is okay. Okay, Sindhu. Who else is having problem going to this particular directory? Namita, I understand you probably not in this directory, but how about one person I see Sindhu, the other one is Shweta, right? Shweta, are you there?
Sir.
Do you have any problems in getting into this
No,
directory?
sir, I am in the current directory, sir.
Okay, okay, sure. And now you can you go to default folder from here? Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I hope everyone is in this directory, so I'll just make sure that. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm in this particular directory default. I just want to show you the code which is in main.tf. What is this first set of code block? Sindhu?
Cloud service provider. Maybe we can use Azure or anything like the cloud provider, right, sir?
Okay. Anyone has doubts on this? You are supposed to have this provider block either provider.tf or in the main.tf or any file.tf you can have it. Hello, Aishwarya.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. So I'll just come out of this, and then you have to be in this folder in order to understand what is going on. So your home directory, export DevOps, all docs DevOps. Under that you have a Docker cube, Docker underscore cube. This one you get it only by doing git pull. So you have to do a git pull after going to the all docs DevOps folder. So I see this. You can see that all docs DevOps. From there you need to do a git pull to get all the latest changes from me, and then you have to go to Docker cube and default folder. So from here you can open the main.tf to understand what I'm explaining. What exactly we are doing in this particular block? Anybody can explain? Zafi?
The VPC, sir. What VPC we are planning?
So using the data block, we can get the VPC details which is coming from the particular region. So default VPC is so we can say default equals true. That means the default VPC which is provided by AWS ID, we can get it in data.aws underscore VPC dot my VPC. So this can be written this way. So when you want to use some information about this particular VPC, you have to mention using the object with a dot. AWS data dot AWS dot VPC dot my underscore VPC will fetch the ID of VPC ID of your AWS accounts US East 1 region. Any question on this? Anybody has difficulty in understanding what this data block does? I'll move on. So then we are trying to fetch a subnet, which is see, you can see the value that VPC ID exactly same as whatever I have written here. We are trying to fetch the subnet which is coming from the default VPC and which is under the availability zone US East 1A. So we are again doing a filter with the name availability zone, whereas values US East 1A. There are regions, there are availability zones concept in AWS Cloud. Region is, it's like availability zone is also like a physical data center, whereas region is all about a particular country or particular specific region of the country. For example, in the US, you have Virginia, you have Atlanta, and then in Europe, you have Paris and Ireland. So like that, there are regions available. We'll definitely get into regions and availability zones on some other day. So meantime, you just try to understand, you're trying to fetch some information from one of the availability zone within a region, that is 1A. So we have 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, like that. Minimum we have two availability zones within a region. Why availability zone is required? Anyone has answer for this? What is the purpose of having availability zone?
To prevent it's like to preventing our data from disaster recovery for that, sir. Exactly right. So the word itself says it is for high availability. So availability zone is meant only specifically for high availability. In order to make sure your data is copied in two different availability zones, so that one availability zone goes down, the other availability zone can pick up your data and then serve it for you. Serve it for the customer. Okay. Can anyone tell me how do I get the subnet ID? This subnet ID, if I want to put it somewhere, how do I get the subnet ID? Tara, can you just go ahead and then tell me exactly what I need to type it and get it here? If I want to get the subnet ID of the default VPC, what do I need to do? Data dot. Tara, can you unmute and speak?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So .tf.
So what I'm asking is, this is an object which is coming from Terraform, right? It is actually fetching the value from AWS subnet, which is nothing but which is in the default VPC, and trying to fetch the availability zone 1A and then get the ID and then put it here. If you want to use a subnet ID inside any other block, say EC2 instance you are creating, that you want to use this particular subnet. How do you call this subnet? How do you call this subnet ID? Can Soumya tell me? Data dot
AWS subnet, sir.
AWS underscore subnet. Okay. Dot
My subnet.
Yeah, my subnet dot ID. will give you the subnet ID. Subnet ID for use. Anybody has difficulty in understanding this particular stuff? If you remember, I was explaining similar stuff in the video as well, that link I shared with you. How to call a particular object from Terraform within Terraform. So you need to use the block which is mainly says whether it is a data block or resource block, and then this is the second column is relevant to a particular resource within the AWS. Third is about your definition, your variable name, something similar to name equals Shweta, name equal to Aishwarya, whatever you say, that particular name you keep it here. That is your own variable. The first column is always similar, one which is provided by Terraform. The second is about your AWS resource. If it is AWS VPC, AWS underscore VPC. If it is instance, AWS underscore instance. And third column should be your actual value, your actual variable that you declare it. Okay. Any difficulties in understanding this particular explanation? Anybody has any questions? Okay, moving on. You guys can watch the video once again since it is being recorded. Here we have a key pair that we are creating, something we do from the AWS console, or when we actually do it from command line, right? Similar to that, we are creating the key pair, the key using the RSA algorithm and the RSA bits 2048. We are just giving only the key name here. My underscore is a key name, whereas we are using TLS underscore private key module to create the key. You can see that we are creating a AWS key pair. This key underscore pair is just the name of the key, and we are just giving the key name as my underscore key, so that we can refer it later. So in order to call the public key or use a public key, we have to use TLS underscore private key dot my key, whatever you have here. I'll go for number. So whatever you see in line number 27, that we are referring here on line number 34 for the public key, and then the way to call the public key is we have to call a particular method, that is public underscore key underscore open SSH. So this is something which is coming from the key pair module, TLS private key module. So you have to just remember how to call the public key and how to also create the private key, how to copy the private key. So here on line number 37, we are trying to create a local file of the private key that is getting created. So here we are just saying AWS underscore key pair dot key underscore pair dot key name. That is nothing but, here you can see the resource that we are creating, AWS underscore key pair dot key underscore pair, the key name dot key name is the actual key name, that is my underscore key dot pem. So that's why you are getting my underscore key dot pem is created on your local folder in which you are running the Terraform commands. So what is the content of this file that we are saying? We are getting TLS underscore private key. It is again from line number 27 dot my underscore key dot private key underscore pem. That is a way to call the private key pem file to store the from key file value to this file, you have to use this particular code block. Anybody has difficulty in understanding this one, this code block? If you want me to explain, I'll explain it once again. Is everybody clear? Okay, I'll move on to the next one. What are we creating in this block? What is ingress, Soumya?
Incoming traffic.
Oh, traffic. What is egress?
Outgoing traffic, sir.
Traffic. Okay. So are we going to restrict a lot for the outgoing traffic or incoming traffic?
For incoming traffic only we have to restrict nodes.
Okay. Think about, say you are living in a apartment where salespeople or Swiggy or Zomato people come inside, right? So you will definitely ask which flat are you going? Where are you coming from? So all of these information will be entered, then only you'll be that person will be allowed to enter inside the particular flat. So like that, incoming traffic is always restricted with a particular port number and protocol and the CIDR block. CIDR block is nothing but the range of IP address from which the connection is allowed. When we say 0000/0, what does it mean?
Allowing every
allowing traffic from anywhere.
Anywhere.
Okay. So from port to port, if we want to allow every port, what is the value you should give? If you want to allow all the ports to be given, all the ports to be allowed, it should be from port 0 to port 0, similar to what is there in the egress. If you want to allow all the protocol, you have to give -1. -1 is something like you allow everything. Any clarity is required with respect to security groups? I'm saving this file. Okay. Next thing is I'm going to show you the variables.tf from where we are getting all the information. So variable, we are declaring it very simple here. We are just giving only a description and the default value. Every variable is just for you. I mean, only the first column should be just variable. Otherwise, the second column can be anything. It is up to you if you want to say my volume, my EBS. So it is just a name that you give it for the variable. Next, you should put it in a curly braces, which has a couple of information. One is description, other one is default value. So we have variable AMI ID Ubuntu, which is specific for this particular region, which is there are two AMI IDs I provided. One is for 24.04, another one for 22.04. There are two different versions that I am trying to use. Whichever is required, that time I can uncomment the other one, comment the other one, and then start using it. Similarly, instance type, I'm keeping it as fixed, that is t2.micro. Before I open amazon.tf, where I have defined the Amazon Linux requirement, Zafi, can you go ahead and tell me what are the different things required to create a EC2 instance?
We need a instance type, sir. Is it audible, sir? Hello.
Yeah, it's audible. You can go ahead.
We need a Amazon machine image, sir. It's a Amazon Linux and the instance type, and we need a key pair and a security group, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to open the Amazon TF. You can see that we use AMI What is the use of AMI? Can somebody give me a background? Soumya or Tara?
It's like our instance is already in a image phase, like Amazon machine image.
Basically, AMI is nothing but an operating system image which contains all the prerequisite softwares, packages, libraries, and all other components built in, kind of packaged together. So depends on your operating system. You can choose different AMIs. If you want to use Ubuntu image or if you want to use Windows image, you'll have to choose a different AMI, which is again composed with the required set of packages, required set of binaries. Okay. With respect to instance type, any idea you have? Tara, can you share? Can you unmute and speak? What is instance type?
Sir, var means variable.
Variable, but why there is a t2.micro, t3.medium, m5.large, t3.large?
That may be the size.
Yeah, size. Why? What exactly when we say it is large? What exactly it is when we say medium or micro? What are the three different things at least? Memory, CPU, and disk. There are three things associated with it. Similar to what you look for when you want to buy a phone, right? Smartphone. You look for 8 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM or 32 gigs of RAM. And you look for 256 GB hard disk or maybe 512 GB hard disk or 1 terabyte hard disk. And similarly, you look for the CPU, 4 core CPU, 8 core CPU, like that. Similar to that, you have every definition is done in instance type. Based on the instance type you choose, your cost will vary. You need to pay a little more, or you should have a big budget if you want to choose a bigger instance type. That's why T2.micro is free for the free tier. Other than that, anything you use, you will end up paying in dollars to Amazon. Any doubts? Any clarity on this? After the class, you go back and look at what is the different kind of instance type you can choose. What is the cost per hour? So it is charged per hour. Okay. So I'll go for user data in the last. And before that, I want to explain what is root block device. What is EBS volume? EBS volume is similar to your disk that you're using. This is nothing but elastic block storage. The kind of information that you store, that will be EBS, because you need to attach extra disk for your instance so that information that you store is stored here. So you see the subnet ID here. I'll go for set number again. Subnet ID on line number 8, which is exactly data.aws underscore subnet dot my underscore subnet dot id. That's the way you fetch your subnet ID. Any idea how the subnet ID is retrieved or used here? What exactly Terraform does? Anyone has an answer for this? I'll write it down here. When you run Terraform apply command, it executes all the .tf files and calculates all the variable names, variable values, and resource names and its IDs. So when you run Terraform apply command or when you run Terraform plan command, it'll automatically find out what is this value. If you probably put something else that instead of ID, definitely your Terraform plan itself will fail. Instead of my_subnet, if you put my_subnet 2, then your Terraform plan would fail and then say that this subnet ID is not available in your Terraform files. Similar to that, you have a security group on line number 11. Why we have a square bracket for the security groups? Anybody has clue on this? Why do we have a square bracket compared to other values?
Since it is a list, not tuple.
Correct. Since it is kind of a list, more than one item is allowed to be given as input in security group. So you can allocate more than one security group. That's why you have a square bracket, which is nothing but a list in Python. Most of the data types, how you declare variables in Python, the same way even in Terraform it is followed. If you see line number 6, you see that it is a curly braces. With that you have a key and value. So this is nothing but your dictionary. All other things are something like your string. It is a very simple data type, string, whereas dictionary is a collection of key value pair, whereas list is collection of items, more than one item or a single item. Okay, going back to user data. User data is all about the script that you supply when you create an EC2 instance. Say for example, you want to have some software running, some prerequisite software is installed, or any other application that you want to start before you create an EC2 instance. That set of scripts you can put it in the user data file, user data, that you can convert that as a script and you can call that particular file in the user data definition, user data block. Okay, anybody has any questions before I show you the data folder Amazon and cube.sh script? What is .sh extension?
It's a root directory.
No. .sh means it's a shell script. That's what we mean. .py.
But that is double edge. Sorry, double edge.
Tara, sorry, your voice is breaking.
Sir, I'm telling that was .ssh.
Okay. .sh. .sh extension is nothing but a shell script. .py is a Python script. Like that, we are trying to use a shell script here. I'll quickly show you the shell script which is there in the data folder. How many of you gone into this particular file and looked into it? At least one of you? No? Okay. You just have a look at this file for now. We are simply running shell script. What is this first line called? Any idea from anyone?
Shebang lines.
Yeah, it's a shebang line which says we are running shell script. I mean, bash is nothing but one of the shell available in Linux machine. So the executable is available under the bin directory. That's why we are using bin bash. So first line says, if it is in the first line, if you put a hash, an exclamation mark, that says it is not a comment. but execute this particular line. That's what it means. It is supposed to be at the first line, not at the second line, and not with a white space character. It should always start with a hash and then just next to it exclamation mark, and then your executable that you want to use. If you want to use Python, you can use user bin Python. If you want to write a shell script, you can write bin bash or bin sh. That is how you define your shell script. So we'll definitely have a look at shell scripting examples in the upcoming classes, either by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. What is this command? Yum update -y. Yum is a package manager which does installation of packages along with all the dependencies. You don't need to worry about installing other dependencies. Yum will automatically pick up all the packages, but here we are doing yum update means we are updating the system. It is something similar to your OS upgrade or your smartphone upgrade, where you are trying to upgrade your latest Android. So here we are trying to use one of the release server that is 2023.5, which has some set of packages. Similarly, the DNF command is equivalent to yum, which is kind of a latest command compared to yum. Yum is replaced by DNF. So we are trying to install Docker, and we are trying to start the service Docker and enable the Docker service at the system boot time, system restart time, and we are modifying the Docker user to be part of EC2 user. And we are installing these packages: curl, wget, git, and telnet packages. So apart from that, whatever I'm installing here, that is for the Minikube, that is for Kubernetes. So that we'll cover it later. But if you can understand till this point, it's more than enough for now. Basically, user data is nothing but a shell script in which you put all the required softwares, required services, start script, and other dependent components, installation, and everything. Okay, with this, I'll run this particular stuff. Before that, I just wanted to see. So how to create EC2 instance US2. Okay. What do I need to do if I want to change the region to US2?
In AWS configure, we have to change it.
Okay. Where any other place that we can change it?
Main.tf.
Okay. That's the right answer. So we have to go to main.tf, and then in this region you have to say US instead of US East 1, you have to say EU-West-2. So what I'm going to do is, all of you can just follow the same procedure. You must be in the default directory, or you can just go back. Yeah, you can just go one step back. You can be in this particular folder. Please make sure you are in this folder. I'll just give you 30 seconds of time. Do a cp -r default to instance underscore Ireland. Can you all create this? What happens when you do a cp-r?
It copies the file, sir.
Copies the complete directory, including all the files. Okay. It takes a little extra time because it is trying to copy the Terraform executable files. Now, if I go to instance underscore Ireland, and if I make a change in the main.tf, US East, I'm using 3CW, that is 3-word change. Okay, it should be 5 because dash is also considered to be 1 word. So 2 dashes, 2 words. Apart from that, there are 3 words. Total 5 words. So 5, I have to say 5CW to change this. EU dash west dash 2. That's what I have to make. So just make sure you have this change in your file, or you can just simply go to insert mode, delete it, and then just add this value EU dash west dash 2. The next thing would be, you have to go to the console, AWS console, and check for so you can use this time to get onto your particular folder, copy the particular folder. Just make sure you are in this current directory, instance underscore Ireland, or whatever name that you want to keep it, it is okay, but at least Ireland you should keep it. I'm just trying to get the code for this. I'm going to this particular region, US 2. Oh, it's a London, not Ireland, but it's London. I have to copy the AMI ID which is there in this particular. Change it in variables.tf where I have the AMI ID for Amazon. So I can just make sure you remove the Terraform state files from the current directory. From your present working directory, just make sure you remove this. Also make sure if you have .terraform folder also, just make sure you remove that. Otherwise your Terraform will get confused that you already have a resource or plugin installed. When you do ls-al, you should have only 3 plus 3, 7 files total. 1 folder and 6 files. Now if I do a Terraform, so I can go ahead and run deploy.sh. What this file contains, deploy.sh. Aishwarya, are you there in the call? Okay. Tara, can you tell me? Aishwarya, you are in the call. Can you speak? Can anyone explain what is there in this shell script?
Have a workflow of Terraform, sir.
It's a Terraform workflow, which is nothing but sequence of Terraform commands, Terraform init, validate, plan, and apply. Instead of manually running them one after the other, after it is completed, we are trying to run them in the sequence. It is something similar to a GitLab CI pipeline or a CI pipeline. So that we'll be looking at by next week when we look into the CI/CD pipeline. So the same thing we are trying to recreate it by just using the shell script. We are putting all the stages into one single file, and we are trying to run it. So if I run a deploy.sh, it will create an instance in UU-West2. What are the things that we changed today? The region from US East 1 to UU West 2, and the AMI ID from UU West 2, we have changed it. So with that, we are running the deploy.sh, which will create all the resources, the one EC2 instance in UU West 2. Okay, can someone tell me what exactly is wrong here? Any clue from anyone? So we have the filter, which is US East 1A. Is it clear to everyone that we forgot to make this change? That's why it is failed. Is it understandable?
Yes, sir.
Issue, Soumya.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tara.
Sir, why we mentioned that instead of one we are putting two, that is the second zone.
No, the region name itself is US West 2 or UU West 2. So it is the number which is there in the last. For Paris, it is U West 3. So we are supposed to keep 3 if we are using Paris. So 1 is for U West 1 is for Ireland. So we're using 2, which is nothing but London. Now if I change it, if I run this /deploy.sh, this will succeed. So we can go to the console and see that instance is getting created. So you can see that instance is getting created. You can see that it is initializing. Okay, instance is also started. So based on the last week's session, right? Do you still have any questions with respect to logging into AWS EC2 instance using private key? Because we already had enough session for public key, private key explanation and how to use private key to log in. Anybody has any questions on this particular topic? Which key is supposed to be copied to the remote machine? Tara? Public key or private key to be copied to the remote machine?
Public key, sir.
Okay. Anyone has objection for that?
No, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to run destroy.sh. That will remove the instance. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to use Ubuntu machine as a EC2 instance instead of Amazon Linux. What do I need to do? Any idea? If I want to launch Ubuntu machine instead of Amazon Linux.
We have to change the
AMI ID and then only the AMI ID, right?
and instance type if it is
It is
different.
okay. It is allowed. So I'm just going to copy the Ubuntu AMI ID for this particular region and then keep it there in the file. It is still destroying, so I'll wait for another 20 to 30 seconds. So it has removed everything for now. So I have, see, if you closely observe, I already had ubuntu.tf, but I have moved the file to .back because if it is a .terraform file, I will end up creating two instances. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move amazon.tf to amazon.tf.back and move Ubuntu to ubuntu.tf so that it will create Ubuntu instances. In the variables.tf for AMI ID Ubuntu, I'll keep the AMI ID which is coming from this particular region. I need to comment out this one. I'll use this 3CW and Control V. So this is the AMI ID of Ubuntu operating system. So you can see that Ubuntu 24.04, it is free tile eligible, which is t2.micro. With this, I'm going to save this file and then run Terraform. I am going to run /deploy.sh once again. This time it will create a Ubuntu machine instead of a Linux machine. Sorry, Amazon Linux machine. So you can see one of the things that I wanted to show you was you can clearly see how much resource is going to be added by running the Terraform plan as well. If you come down, see what is the plan. There are 5 things to add: 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So the instance is already created. In order to log into Ubuntu machine, what is the command? SSH-I. What is the command that I need to give it right now?
EC2 user at okay.
It's Ubuntu because it's not a EC2 user. It's a
Okay, sir.
the correct spelling. Otherwise, your login will fail and you will have no clue how to solve that problem because I mean it is not clearly mentioned. But if you go to your AWS console, you will be able to easily find out what is a command to log into the EC2 machine. See, if you go here and then click on connect, if you okay, probably it is still pointing to the older EC2 instance. Okay, here I go to the Ubuntu, so my Ubuntu EC2. If I click on connect, if I click on SSH client, it'll show you this one, this particular command. You can just paste it here and see what exactly it says. So ssh-i mykey.pem ubuntu at the DNS name of the EC2 instance. You can also use DNS name of the EC2 instance, but we are getting this as an output, the IP address as an output, so we can use the IP address to login. I'll go and press Ctrl A and put a hash so that this is commented out. I'm going back to the previous command, which is nothing but ssh-i, the key name at Ubuntu user at this IP address. So this will automatically be logged in. Only the problem is the permission of the key. You are supposed to change it to chmod 400 or 600. 600 if you make it also work, 400 also it will work. My_key. You'll be logged on to this machine. What is the difference between the package manager command with respect to Amazon Linux and Ubuntu Linux? Any idea? Here we use apt-get command instead of yum. Okay, I'll log out from this machine. I'll show you the data folder in which you have Ubuntu _mcube.sh. You see that instead of yum, we are using apt_get. So this also you need to be familiar. Even if you don't know exactly all the commands, at least the package manager in Ubuntu is apt-get, whereas in Amazon Linux or Red Hat Linux, it is dnf or yum. So please make a note. You have to learn about package managers in Linux operating system, at least 10 to 15 commands that you create a Word document or a simple text document. What each command does. Say for example, yum install, yum update, yum remove, like that. Some 15 commands with examples. You create a document and share it with me. So with this, we covered two stuff up to second point we covered. I would like you to try both options and then try third option, fourth option, fifth option as an exercise and get back to me if you have any questions. Any questions, any clarity required? In order to change the instance type, you can simply go to variables.tf and you can say, you can search for micro with a slash, simply change it to CW medium and save this file and then do a Terraform, sorry, /deploy.sh. So this will automatically change instance type to t2.medium, t3.medium, whatever is available. You can see that one to add, one to destroy. Basically, when instance is getting changed, it will remove the existing instance and recreate the instance. I'll have to, so make sure when you create a t2.medium or t3.medium, make sure you run the destroy immediately so that you don't get charged for your instance that is t3.medium or t3.medium, t2 or t3.medium, because that is chargeable, that is not in the free tier. You have to try out adding S3 bucket and .tf file which will explicitly create VPC, explicitly create S3 bucket and EC2 instance separately. Try these out and share me your experience and your code as well to me. With that, I'm closing today's session. Anyone has any questions? So you can see the instance type. you can see that instance type is changed to t2.medium. Can you all see that? I'm going to run desktop.sh so that I'm not getting charged for this. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.